Hi guys, welcome to another edition of the Two Fat Brokers. I am Barney from Dubai.
Ben from Abu Dhabi.
Here today to talk to you about the new Property Finder article.
Yep, it was reported in the National this week that probably transactions up over 20% for Q4 in Dubai, which is a pretty amazing statistic, seeing as what we've been through in terms of the economic struggles that we've had due to this pandemic.
So it talks about the volume of transactions, but not the price point of transactions. The data that would be really interesting to know is, are those values up? Or what I suspect they are is the clearing of the more affordable price stock in the market. What do you reckon?
So would that mean then that prices have now plateaued?
No, prices have definitely gone up.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that is, what would you say? It was a reconciliation of the market price due to the fact that there are no more low-priced properties on the market.
But for prices to go up, you'd have to start to have transactions at the higher value. Now, are transactions happening at the higher value, in which case the market's changed direction? Or is it just those cheap properties have all sold and the more expensive ones aren't selling, and so therefore the price has plateaued?
By the very nature of the fact it's gone, the volume has gone up 21%. The low stock, there can't have been 21% of the Dubai of transactions are all just at low values. The really cheap stuff will have gone at the beginning of that trend, and then obviously the prices of things that have sold will have incrementally crept up.
So you think
because
that
the new lowest price one on the market will be higher priced than the last one?
Yeah, but what we're talking about is whether the next tier, so obviously the cheap stuff got sold, is the next tier selling?
Yes.
The next one up, it is. So you're actually seeing prices going up?
They have to, yeah. By the
But are you
mere
seeing
nature.
that? Or?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, okay, that's interesting.
Well, I don't know whether if you were to equate it on a price per square foot, whether they are going up or just more. Yeah, no, they must be. They must be on a price per square foot basis. They must be going up. From just a mathematical certainty in terms of the volume.
You and your mathematical certainty.
Dead good at maths.
Yeah.
Well good at it.
Degree in further maths.
Degree in crayons and colouring in.
Yeah. It's teaching your kids too much with the homeschooling.
It's when she catches me eating them, that's the problem. Just chewing on a crayon.
So what we're seeing in Abu Dhabi is the cheap stuff sold, that lower level. And then in some areas we're seeing, and this only really applies to villas, we're seeing villas transacting at higher levels. But we're not seeing it for apartments and I think, and we'll talk about the reasons for it in more detail in a minute, but I think there's been a lot of, in Abu Dhabi at least, a lot of piling into villas because people have been stuck in their apartments, so people are generally moving away from apartments, realizing that they need villas, they need that outside space, and so they're much more popular at the moment. That's what we're finding than apartments. And also there are fewer villas being built in Abu Dhabi generally. That's just in our market than apartments.
Yeah, this goes back to the previous podcast we did, I think the last one, of why there is a flight to villas and why the villa market is proving to be a lot more buoyant than the apartment market. But I mean, that said, I think a large driver behind the increase in the market is foreign investment, and foreign investment tends to not be quite so focused on villas because they're holiday homes. So from Dubai, the feeling I get from the market primarily is that a lot of this foreign investment is that people are seeing Dubai as something of a safe haven from the dreaded corona.
So you're seeing you think most buyers in Dubai are actually not Dubai residents or living in Dubai.
Not most,
they're
but certainly an increased proportion
outside
of foreign investment. Certainly an increased proportion, and because villas obviously equals more maintenance, they're looking at apartments more so. And again, to sort of finish my synopsis, I think foreign investment is coming because Dubai has quite a lot going for it, and Dubai specifically, in as much as we have a small population, we have a high vaccination rate, and we also have a very high healthcare a ratio of beds to populace. So people are looking at Dubai going, be easy for me to get vaccinated. A lot of people are being vaccinated. If I do get sick, I've got guaranteed a hospital bed with great treatment. So I think that's why foreign investment is coming. But I digress.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a really interesting email a couple of days ago from a family in the UK. No, and this has actually genuinely happened. Family in the UK who are looking to move over to Abu Dhabi, but they got their visa mixed up because they want to remote work. So they're in the UK and they actually want to come over here with their family, their kids and everything, and they want to get an investor visa and remote work from the UAE and up sticks from the UK. And and I know Dubai brought in a sort of I think it was a year-long visa. Anyway, trying to encourage people to say, listen, we're now Zoom calls are massive and Teams. You can work from anywhere. Why not work from Dubai? And I kind of thought, who's really going to take that up? But maybe people genuinely are.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are surprised about how little they need their workspace, their office. So a lot of people are working from home. I've literally just come from a meeting in an office where last year when I went to the office it was heaving, and this year, a year later, almost to the day, I walked through the door and there are 3 guys there. And when I say heaving, there were 30 plus people in that office. There were 3 guys in it now because they're all working from home, and they're realizing they own the building, but they're realizing that they don't need such a big workspace.
So that could be potentially horrible for commercial. Not that we know much about commercial, just as an aside.
I think commercial, lick my finger and stick it in the air, is going to suffer big time. We have an oversupply of commercial anyway. It always baffles me how people can command the rents that they do. But yeah, I think it does spell some tough times ahead. So 2 things then. So what has caused this, let's say, price increase or volume increase or whatever it is? Why are people coming in? So we've already discussed, maybe there's some people coming in from abroad because they see it as a safe haven or nice place to work. And what do we see for the future? So in terms of why this volume has increased, so obviously we've got the interest rates. I saw some crazy figure of 2.2% for a mortgage the other day, which is unbelievable. Off the shelf mortgage.
Yeah, fixed for 2 years apparently.
With whom? You're allowed to say?
CBD.
Commercial Bank of Dubai.
Yeah, there you go. So that's 2.2. That's 2.2.
Maybe
maybe there's qualification that you need to do for that, but that seems incredible to me. And I know there's others.
Banks being quite risk averse, I would imagine now.
Well, yeah, who knows? So there's that driver. I can save a lot on basically my rent fundamentally by buying. So that's a big one. What else? Why are people buying? Okay, wanting to move to a villa, but then I guess they could rent villas. When we see that
with any market, I think you've got to look at the point of when it is cost effective or when you feel like a market is undervalued. Now, I feel, and I've said this before, I feel like the Dubai market is undervalued for what is ostensibly a tax haven. We have 5% VAT now, but that's it. So also the fact that rents have dropped consummate to the purchase price value. So you're still looking at about 5%, 4, 5, 6% return on investment, and that hasn't changed. So people are saying, well, that's a bit of market stability where I could potentially get in.
Yeah, but the fundamentals, although people say Dubai is undervalued because of, I think, the salaries that you can get in Dubai versus the house prices, and they do that calculation and say, okay, what salary can you get in London versus the house prices? And so Dubai is a cheap place to buy for that reason, but the fundamentals are still off, right? There's still more supply than demand, and looking into the future, that doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, it is changing. Emaar have postponed, or not shelved, but Emaar have pulled back from a few of the developments.
Yeah, they've said they're not going to build anymore. I think Mohammed Alabar came out a few months ago.
Not build anymore. They're not going to make any more launches, but they've still got something like 19 projects still building. Mm-hmm. Some of which I think that they're on a go slow.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to be delivered. These things take 3 years, so
yeah.
There's still that
from
delivery.
That perspective, that sentiment, and Dubai specifically is quite a largely sentiment-driven market. People are looking at, all right, well, Damac have stopped building, Emaar have stopped building. They're the major construction companies. Miras, I don't think Miras have got any more new developments in the pipeline.
Emaar share price is up hugely in the last 3 months. I saw it on Twitter. I don't know, but someone was saying it was up a lot, and I don't really want to put a figure on it. No, but it's up a lot. So people are obviously thinking that I don't know. Can coronavirus be good for the real estate markets? Because I mean that's
there's always got to be where there's a winner, where there's a loser. There's got to be a winner, and it would appear that potentially Dubai is coming out of this smelling of roses. I don't know about Abu Dhabi, but Dubai seems to be coming out of this.
There's also apocryphal numbers coming out that 1 million people have left Dubai.
I think a lot of those will be the blue collar workers because they're not building anymore.
But I mean, that can't be true because there's only about 4 million people in Dubai.
Not Dubai, UAE. 1 million people left the UAE.
I heard it was Dubai. But even the UAE, there's not 10 million people in the UAE. You can't lose 10% of your population and overnight.
You can if they live in labour camps, which don't really hold an intrinsic value to the rest of the real estate market.
That's possible. But so anyway, just to go back to our drivers of this price.
That's all I got.
Yeah, and obviously you've got a smaller down deposit now, so you need 20% for a first-time buyer. And as far as we understand it from the mortgage companies, that's still the case even now. The central bank hasn't pulled back from that, so you don't need as much money down now.
This is not new. That's been around for months.
But we're saying that the volume increased from September to December, right? So it's over the last 3 months, the volume is up 20%. Yeah, so maybe it's people, kind of going, okay, we're through the worst of the coronavirus, fingers crossed. I've survived, I've got my job, I've got less deposit. The interest rates are fantastic right now. Now's time to
perhaps people have decided or suddenly realised that that the money that they've saved by not going out through Corona has actually given them a deposit for an investment. I know that back in the UK, I mean, it's not like I go into these shops very often, but I went into a Rolex shop in the UK.
Name drop.
Yeah, you dropped something. And the guy there
went
said,
into a Rolex shop.
This was in the summer of last year. He said it's been the best month on record for the Rolex dealership in Oxford, which is where we're from. And it's all down to people who have just banked cash because they've not been allowed to go out. So all of their expendable or disposable income has just been racking up in their account, and they've finally been able to afford a Rolex, which is not a cheap watch to have. So potentially.
Is there a Christmas present I haven't received yet?
There is. It's not Rolex. I got your Swatch. A Casio. One with a calculator.
I'd love a
Casio. Help you with your math.
I would love a Casio. So I think there's a lot of things at play, although we've got to be careful about the classic estate agent, like, let's be so positive about anything. I feel personally that the future is not a continuation of these price rises. I think the fundamentals have to come back into play, and the fundamentals are that in the short term there is a supply still to come on, and the demand, I'm not seeing that there's going to be a huge number of people come back into the UAE over that kind of short term. So I think what we'll probably see is at best a plateauing, but I think probably a reversal of some of these gains. In Abu Dhabi, we're seeing price rises in unusual areas.
Though, we're not really. We're talking about
price
the volume.
increases. You're talking about some price increases.
Yeah.
So I think they'll probably come down again in at least the short term. But I think that the coronavirus, it can be seen as a very good thing for an oversupplied market, because what we've seen is all of these guys, delay projects, slow down projects, cancel projects, say they're not going to launch anymore. And that actually, exactly as you said before, in terms of sentiment, people are going to go, oh, hold on, right, so there's not going to be this oversupply that we were imagining. And if the UAE can hold on to its population or increase its population, then they start to take up those units, and then we can see a real turn in the market. But I think in the short term, I don't see a massive change to the fundamentals whereby we have more supply than demand.
What he said. Agree 100%.
All right. Well, cheers. So,
in 2021.
a really interesting last 3 months of the year. A huge amount of property sold. Trying to get into the weeds on why people are buying is tough to do, but I think we've covered most of the major points here today in terms of smaller deposits, maybe some foreign investment coming in, people coming in here because it's safe or for business or for the climate, and better interest rates. Let's hope it sticks. Let's hope it holds.
Let's say
hope it's a new dawn.
Let's say I'm going to make you hang your hat
Let's
on
say.
something now. What kind of time frame do you put on this before the plateau or potential reversal starts to happen?
Well, for Abu Dhabi, if the government maintains the spending plans that it had pre coronavirus, and so keeps bringing people in, as I think we've said, the deliveries have been slowed or delayed. I think at least. Well, I think on the villa front, all the villas have all plateaued or are going up. In the apartment front, I think that'll be a bigger issue because there's more supply there. But as long as people keep coming into Abu Dhabi, then the fundamentals make sense. You have more demand than supply. Supply has been delayed. Hopefully, I think apartments will still keep decreasing in value probably till the end of this year. I think I say that every year. As sort of look into the future, but I think the worst is over for the villas in Abu Dhabi. I think there'll be a plateauing there, or actually an increase in sale prices.
I think the drivers in Dubai are slightly different. I think we're much more investor centric. I think we have a much larger supply of villas than Abu Dhabi do, but also I feel like our population is probably the type of population that is going to grow slightly faster because we're less reliant on the Abu Dhabi, on our government to provide the jobs. I am potentially less bullish about villas purely because we have more than we have an oversupply, and apartments. I think apartments are probably going to continue to decline for a while, but let's see. I mean, I've got no crystal ball. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this.
I've got a crystal glass.
It's not crystal. I hate to burst your bubble.
Fake crystal.
It is faux. It's IKEA's
I've been drinking out of
crystal.
this.
Yeah. Throw it away. It's IKEA's finest crystal. They do a great line. Guys, we have been two fat brokers. Thank you very much for joining us.
And we'll look forward to seeing you next time on the Two Fat Brokers podcast.
I've been Barney.
I've been Ben.
Be good.
We've been fat. Bye.